And then we come to the Middle East, where if you think what you've heard up until now is bad, it just gets worse. Under Obama, the entire Middle East has descended into chaos. We've gone past the point where there's a problem in country A or problem in country B. Everywhere you look, state structures are coming apart. Boundaries set after World War I are disappearing. Libya has gotten completely out of control, as has Somalia. ISIS has destroyed the states of Syria and Iraq. Iran is on the rise, quite apart from this wretched agreement about their nuclear weapons program, which has legitimized both the regime, which is still the largest state funder of terrorism in the world, as well as legitimizing their nuclear program. And what's happening as the Middle East has destabilized is that you see large numbers of people who are leaving and carrying with them the threat of terrorist acts in Western Europe and the United States. Libya, as an example, is a state that's functionally completely out of control. The writ of what we laughingly referred to as the government of Libya barely extends beyond the walls of the government buildings that its military controls. And that's true in country after country, with every prospect that it's going to get worse. Boko Haram, although it's suffered some setbacks, is tearing up the middle of North Africa, and ISIS and Al-Qaeda obviously are on the rise in Yemen and across many other countries, obviously including Syria and Iraq. Taliban is gaining strength again in Afghanistan, and the government of Pakistan is always potentially subject to a takeover by Pakistani Taliban or other radical groups that would put Pakistan's arsenal of nuclear weapons, which is very considerable, in the hands of terrorists right now. Forget about waiting for Iran to gain their nuclear weapons. If Pakistan falls to the terrorists, they'll have 60 to 200 nuclear weapons immediately. Now, all of this is proceeding as America turns away from the region, as it ignores this descent into chaos. Not that we could prevent it entirely, but our absence simply encourages our adversaries to continue to press ahead. Our friends are tearing their hair out. Certainly true of the Israelis, but it's true of the oil-producing monarchies on the Arabian Peninsula, too. They think we've lost our minds. And in a way, they're right, because the president thinks that it's the United States that's part of the problem, that American strength, American assertiveness, really is what creates instability. And that if you pull back, if America is perceived as less involved and less assertive, that there'll be greater peace and security. This is like looking through the wrong end of a telescope. You don't enhance international peace and security by weakening the one force that people have respected over decades as a deterrent to exactly the kind of adventurism that you're seeing now. It's an example of the president not understanding, when you come to the terrorist threat, exactly what the nature of the threat is. You know, he still thinks of it as workplace violence or acts of lone wolf terrorism. I mean, there's a long string of euphemisms. And he says, basically, that to say otherwise would insult all of Islam. And what's ironic about that is not only is it wrong, it's leaders in Muslim countries who are pleading with us to understand the nature of the threat they face and the dangers to practicing Muslims in largely secular kinds of countries that are most endangered by the radicals. King Abdullah of Jordan refers to ISIS and Al-Qaeda and other radical groups like that and the threat that they pose as part of a civil war within Islam, which I think is a good way to think of it. It's a battle for the soul of an entire religion. And King Abdullah is not just another, Arab Muslim. He is the descendant of the Hashemite kings of the Hejaz, the keeper of the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. So when he talks about a civil war within Islam, you can take that to the bank. The president as much as admits that, if you want to get your blood pressure up, read the interview that Obama did with Jeffrey Goldberg in the Atlantic magazine. Just came out a couple of weeks ago. At one point he says, yes, look, I understand this is an ideology, but I can't really say that out loud because the American people won't understand. Isn't it good to have a president who's so much smarter than you are, that he looks out after you by not telling you the truth? And this, I think, is one of the reasons it's so important that we have a discussion about this, because the threat that we're going to see manifest itself at the local level, I think, in this country, is a direct product of the unwillingness of Obama and other American leaders to address it and to talk common sense to the American people.